Hey, Fed Phoenix fam. So, let me address the elephant in the room for a lot of folks. So, before I went to prison, I made a video about post-incarceration syndrome. And, just techniques I have researched and through just online stuff and talking to people that have been incarcerated on ways to minimize, for yourself if you're becoming incarcerated, developing post-incarceration syndrome. For the sake of this video, I will say that, I went to a camp. I was a minimum violence, minimum recidivism risk score. So I didn't go to a place where there was really any immediate danger or there were barbed wire or gun towers or anything like that. But I did go away for nearly a year and a half. And it definitely psychologically was not an easy thing to get through and deal with. And there definitely were, a couple incidents while I was there where people were seriously harmed. But having said all that, I feel like my any level of post-incarceration syndrome I have is minimal. I definitely am a lot more anxious than I was before prison. I get super nervous in a lot of just normal scenarios, crowds, driving, anything to do with law enforcement of any type. If I see a cop, my palms start sweating. I feel nauseous. Even though I know I'm doing nothing wrong. Today driving on the highway was really scary for me. Just because I haven't drove in a while, and I didn't drive a lot before I went to prison. And I was on my way to see my federal probation officer, and then on the way home, and it was nerve-wracking. I'm a person who's very proactive, and I not only take care of myself, but I have a minor child, and as a mother, those of you who have children know, it doesn't matter how old your kids are. You look after your kids, to some degree. It doesn't matter if they're the CEO of a Fortune 500 company and, paying your tab at the nursing home. You look after your kids. You worry about your kids. You do what you can for your kids. So, I have 2 children. I have other people that, to some degree or another, I assist or look out for or help them just kind of maneuver things. And so I came home with a lot of responsibilities, and I've been very big on just jumping back in head first and trying to push through and get everything together as quickly as possible for me and those I love and those who depend on me to some degree, or those I just want to be there for. Maybe they don't depend on me, maybe they're just fine without me, but I want to be there, so I'm there. It's my choice. But so, with that being said, my days are very busy, and I get overwhelmed a lot. And there are a lot of times, there have been at least a dozen times in the week or so I've been home where I've had to say, look, I need a minute. I need to just drive somewhere quiet and just sit for a minute, or I need to walk away for a minute, or, whatever, because I feel myself getting like overstimulated, I guess, or anxious. And your heart starts beating real fast, and things start happening too quick for you, and it's like you're kind of, it's almost like you're a spectator in life, versus a participant, for a few minutes. And so, when that happens, you have to just remove yourself and decompress for a second and refocus, and then jump back in. You can't get out and go through that and, spend all your time licking your wounds and holding up somewhere away from the world, waiting for the day that, you're magically back to your normal or pre-incarceration self. I mean, that's just not, because you're never going to be who you were before you went to prison. Not fully, mentally. That went out. And that's okay, You're never going to be who you were 100% the same. I mean, after any major life experience, good or bad, because that's what life experiences do. They mold us. They alter our perceptions, because perception is based on experience. But, I can say for those of you who have loved ones coming home from prison, definitely take it easy with them. Don't blow them up with text messages, with phone calls. Don't play the me game. You know what I mean? The, oh, you're not spending time with me. Oh, I didn't see you today. Oh. Don't do that, because the person coming home already has a lot of guilt about whatever time they missed, and whatever, especially events they missed in your life. And they're probably struggling to some degree, emotionally and mentally, to cope and adjust, and feeling like, with all that, feeling like you have these, these demands and obligations upon you. We want to, I wish I could spend all day just hanging out on a beach with my loved ones. Everything is fine and whatever. But that's not life. Life happens. Life requires, effort. Life requires uncomfortableness. Life requires, there are so many other things. Establishing medical, insurance when you come home. Working out your long-term housing situation, or if you're not someone who's blessed enough to come home with a stable short-term, working that out too. A lot of people got to work out custody situations and employment situations and, transportation situations. So when your loved one comes home, if they're not catering to you 24/7, or if it seems like they're not going out of their way to spend time with you, or maybe they even seem withdrawn, I definitely could see someone who's been more affected by this appearing very withdrawn to their loved ones, because they would probably need to decompress a lot more frequently and for longer periods of time. It's not personal. It's not. Be patient with them. Give them time, because they need to be able to be patient with themselves, and feeling like you need to kind of make up for things in a way to your loved ones. You're already struggling to be patient with yourself. So when they show you any amount of impatience, even though it's coming from a good place, I know it's out of love. I know when my friends and family are like, oh, I want to see you. Oh, you didn't spend time with me. Oh, you didn't answer my call today. It's because they care and they want to be there, and I appreciate that immensely. Some people aren't that blessed, but at the same token, it definitely adds to the pressure. You know what I mean? And when you come home, don't hesitate to tell your loved ones, I need a minute. I need time to focus, or I have to find a way to schedule next week to have a day where I can just breathe, where I can just woosah, where I can, just have some time to myself. Or just have some time where I'm not scheduled to do things and no one's asking me to do anything, and I can just be in the moment. You know what I mean? Instead of, you feel like as a person coming home, you feel like you're going 100 miles an hour, trying to catch up with things in life. And then you feel like the world around you is going 1,000 miles per hour, So sometimes you need time to just breathe. I mean, there's no really other way to put it. And, if you're the person coming home, feel free to take that for yourself and express that and communicate that. Don't isolate. Don't throw in the towel. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed or God forbid, creating a psychological or medical situation for yourself where you require some kind of care or institutionalization because you've broken. You know what I mean? You've just put way too much pressure and you've snapped. Don't do that. Speak up. You got to advocate for yourself. As much as it's great to be in a world that, where people, whatever, you have obligations. At the end of the day, just like with anything in life, you have to advocate for yourself. And I feel like I've done an effective job of doing that, for the most part. I think there have definitely been a few times where I kind of needed a little more, than the couple of minutes I took for myself, and I kind of pushed myself. But that's okay, because I know I'm not pushing myself to like a breaking point, and I am really conscientious to not push myself to a point, where I get even near that, because my loved ones have already missed, I've missed a year and a half with them. I'm not missing no more time in the loony bin or whatever, or in the, hospital with a freaking stroke when it's, pretty avoidable, at least under these particular conditions. A lot of people have said, when they came home, that for them, they had very similar issues. So if you're coming home and you're going through this, know that it's completely normal, and even though it feels like you're never going to be who you were, you're never going to have your life back. You're running against the tide, and it's coming in faster than you can keep up. Know that, as long as you're moving in the right direction, you're going to get to where you're trying to be. You just have to be consistent, and you have to have your priorities together, and you really have to focus. and do what you need to do to not only take care of your loved ones, but to take care of yourself. You know, that's really serious. And it's always like that in life. You have to make time for yourself, but especially when going through a transitional period of any sort, including coming home from prison. So, whew. So that's that. You know, that's just a little bit about, you know, now that I've been to prison, you know, my take on post-incarceration syndrome and how it's affected perhaps me, and my tips for, you know, how I get through that, and how maybe those will be helpful to you, or maybe you can share this video with a loved one that it could be helpful to. And maybe, you know, you could even show this to your friends and family if you're the person coming home, to help them get a little perspective. You know, maybe you have difficulty expressing things, and perhaps the way that I've said things, although not the most articulate in the world, but maybe it's something you think will be easier for them to understand than you trying to explain yourself. But as always, Fed Phoenix fam, we're going to get through this because we have to. And, you know, just want to make another short video because a lot of people have asked me, you know, and it's crazy too, because a lot of times I wake up during the night and I check to make sure my son is still, you know, present. My 6-year-old, like, why wouldn't he be, right? But it's almost like it's too good to be true. You know, I look through my phone and I'll go on my older kid's social media and, okay, yeah, she's okay. She's okay. You know, and it's almost like I have to feel like, especially sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night if I have trouble sleeping, I feel like I kind of have to real quick do a rundown and take inventory of the things and the people that matter the most, to confirm to myself that they're okay. You know, that this sense of impending bad things, for lack of a better term, it is what it is. It's a sense that has been, you know, developed out of habit. But, you know, this is not my life right now. My life is not, God willing, you know, going to be a constant, you know, shit show of one after another traumatic or stressful or unforeseen negative circumstances, and that my people are okay. And because they're okay, I know I'm okay, because that's just how I am, you know. But yeah, so that's that. And I hope this information was helpful and maybe insightful for some of you. And, you know, like I said, I got so much content for y'all, it's crazy. But again, you know, I'm pacing myself, and I'm not apologizing for that, because this is what I need to do for me and to be the best me for those that I love. And I deserve that, and they deserve that. And when you find yourself, if you find yourself in this position, you and your loved ones deserve the same as well. So good day. God bless, Fed Phoenix fam, and holler at y'all later.